to record. Okay. And then when Donald comes, it'll tell him it's recording. And I know normally he doesn't upset about that. Okay, so I do not have anything on the screen today for a reason, because this is a total review. So I do not know if you want me to start with a certain chapter, or if you want me to just start answering questions, or I don't know where you want me to start. So I didn't pull anything up until because I'm wondering what you guys want to do. Now, if you don't have a plan, after a while, there's a couple things I think we should review, but to prepare us for June, the June date we get back on. I don't know. So where do you want to start? I know Ray brought up a couple questions. Maybe I should. I'm probably not as prepared as I should be. We're talking about the prepositions, and to remind people that usually there is one ending, one suffix, but there can be two prepositions sometimes. So those B's and L's and all those words, there can be more of those at once. But normally there's one preposition in the front, or one prefix and one suffix. And then there is a concept, I'll just say so we have it on the record for Lee, that there's a thing called an infix that we have not learned yet, and that's where we have to put a letter inside. And that, when we learn that, it'll make sense to you. And so sometimes it can seem like there's another prefix or another infix, because it's often a vav that's put inside. It's often an olam vav. So people sometimes look at it strange. So we will get to that. That's like chapter 17, I think. So I wasn't going to get into that now. So that's prepositions. And let's see, I think that's the big stuff that we talked about before to get on the record. So where do you think you want to start?
I am constantly going over chapters. I usually fluctuate somewhere between, reviewing chapter 3, 4, 5, and 5. But I've just been going over the exercises. I just feel like 3, 4, and 5 are just chapters that no matter what, and so I don't. I don't know. I mean, whatever you think is best. I always just like listen to the class and then go back, because the homework always seems to make more sense after you've explained it and discussed it over the course of a few classes. It's always easier for me to go back, and then it makes sense, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what about you, Ray? I know you asked me a couple questions, but what is your opinion on this subject?
Yeah, I'm good with a quick review of 3, 4, and 5.
Okay, so let me share some stuff.
Mhm.
Because actually chapter 4 is one thing I did want to review with you, because there's some concepts that I really want to make sure that you know, because you're going to build them into your, sorry guys, it's getting hung up here. I've noticed if I have too many windows open, my computer starts to cough and gag. So I think it means that I need to download some stuff onto a hard drive or something. See, let's see this. Cancel, because we're going to need that. Okay, in fact, there's one thing we're going to need. Okay. Yes, I got up what we need. All right, perfect. Okay. And some of the stuff that we're going to go over today. Hi, Don. I just want to let you know that we're recording because Lee called Lee emailed me and said that he could not join tonight. So he asked if I would record the review. So whether you're on screen or off screen, Luis and Ray are off screen because I'm recording. So it's entirely up to you. I'll still make it private, but whether you want to show or not is up to you. We are reviewing, and so we're going to start at chapter 4. Okay, so the thing that I really want you to learn, okay, besides the fact that vocabulary is really important, it gets more important, and I will share a person example. In the class that I am taking, we did this whole, or basically are finishing this whole book in like 6 weeks. This is my 6th week. And so we should be able to read a lot. And in fact, we are going to start to read more and more, but one of my hindrances is I'm having a hard time remembering the vocabulary. So I do encourage you, if you have any time during the day or any time at the dentist office or whatever it is, that you take a moment and try to see if you can, in some way, shape, or manner, work on your vocabulary, because it does help. Okay, now, okay, this is key. This pronoun chart on page 24, we've talked about it a bunch of times, and it is going to be key for all the future chapters. Okay, can someone tell me why it is key? Got a stab at it? No?
Page is it?
This is page 24 in the book, the bottom of page 24. You'll see this part right here, Don.
Yeah, I don't think it's showing on the screen though.
Oh, hold on. Let me see. Sorry, that's what I needed to know. Oh, you're right. Oh, why is it blue? Okay, so let me stop sharing that and share something different. Okay, because it helps if I share the right thing. Okay, share. Come on. Okay, now you can see it, right?
Yes.
Okay, so page 24 on your book, the bottom of the screen, here's the pronouns. So tell me, if someone can try in your best words, why these pronouns are going to be so important. We've already done this, but just if you can remember and put it in your own words.
Well, every pronoun, every conjugation has a different pronoun.
Every noun, mostly every participle, every verb, is going to need to be conjugated, as we say it in Hebrew or in other languages, declensions, right? It's going to need to be changed. And so it's changed, and the main key way that we change them is by pronouns, okay? And one thing I want you to know, in Hebrew, there's 2 main ways to do this. There's the pronoun, the way one that you're learning is by pronoun. Okay, so for instance, ani, I, we need to make sure that any other nouns are the I form, right? Or the ata form, which is the you male. Any other nouns and our information matches that form. Okay, that's the first way. The second way we learned on another chapter, is it like 47? I'm not going to jump there now, but where they only have male and female. So, so I call it, this is the line format, and I'll show you why I call that in just a minute. So there's the line form and there's the box form. So I just tell you those in a way because the way we're going to make all these conjugations are either going to be in a line or in a box, okay? And I think the best way to teach it that way is because when we get to past tense verbs, we're going to use the box form. So do you know what I'm saying? It kind of just says, hey, the line form, you know you need to get out pronouns. The box form, you need to get out your box, okay? So the pronouns here are important to know, and they're important to know in this order. So let me show you this sheet. It should actually just, there we go. There we go. There we go. It should show on your screen. Hopefully, there you go. Okay, now let me erase. Okay, where's the erase? Erase. Come on, guys. And I thought I had this all set and not want to erase. Okay. For some reason, I can't get it to erase. Okay. Oh, there you go. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, so this is a list of your pronouns going down the side of the sheet. And I will send you this list. Okay. So does everyone recognize these pronouns? Ani, ata, at, hu, he, anaknu, atem, aten, hem, and hen. So if we go to page 24 in your book, if you see your book, right? These are the pronouns. But I had you do what to them? I had you list, I put them on a list, and that's me writing them. I put them on a list going down the sheet. Sorry, I got to get to the sheet here. So right here, right? They're going down the sheet. Okay, is everyone following me?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the way I want to take a look at it with you, because when we start to get our words in the book, okay, we have to do it this way. We have to go down and be able to conjugate it this way. Okay. Now, that's why it's so important to know page 24. Does anyone have any questions about page 24, or is it self-explanatory by now? What do you guys think?
Well, it's self-explanatory. I just feel that like the only way to memorize this is to get practice with it. Does that make sense?
Yes, and if we don't have a lot of questions, we'll do one today. We'll do some today. I just want to make sure that you know that now, and this is where we're at. Okay. Now, this is an example of a word right here, shall. Okay. Shall is actually a pronoun by itself. So for instance, shall means of, okay? The word shall, it means of, and it would be, if I was going to say the Luis's cup, we do it weird in Hebrew, but we could put shall between the word cup and Luis, okay? If I was going to say Luis's or Ray's Torah, I could do Torah, or I would have to figure out what pronoun I was using, right? So Luis is a boy or a man, and it would be the at, okay? And there is a transition that I'll talk to you about, but it would be at or ata, right? Ata, shall, but it'd be shalach. We'll talk about that. And then I would say Torah, and that would mean, the Torah belonging to you, or I'd say, Re ata shalach ka Torah. So the Torah of Re. So I know it's a little confusing, but I'm just saying that shall is, instead of using a prefix, a one-line prefix that means of, shall can also be a standalone word, okay? Did you guys follow me there, or did I totally lose you on what shall means?
A little bit lost on what shall means. Is that like a possessive, like belongs to?
Yes, it means of, belonging to.
Oh,
So it means of or belonging to. It's too thick. I can't write. Of, shall means of, like of. This is the Torah of someone, of.
right.
Yeah. This is your dog. So we'd have Don would have a Kalev, right? So it'd be Don shall Kalev. It would be the dog of Don, right? Does that make sense?
So does does the sentence begin with a ta? Like a ta would be your?
Right, if you're going to say you, like you or your dog, you would do a ta, or you'd use the name of the person, and then you'd put shall in the middle, and then you'd put the thing that they own next.
So you would say a ta shall Torat or something like that.
So yeah, so let me do this. Okay. So I don't want you to let me back up for 1 second before I get too confusing. Okay. Let's just go down and let's just look at what we call conjugation. Okay. And then let's go back. Okay. So we know ani, right? We know ani ends with a heric yod. Okay. This is a little bit weird here. It's supposed to be a dot instead of a line. So ani. Do you notice at the end of the word, do you notice what's the end here? Do you notice the matching between here and there? What's the same?
That the yod? Here
The
yod?
the heric and the yod are the same. Do you see? This is supposed to be a heric, sorry, heric yod. Do you see when we conjugate it, I can't highlight it that well, that the heric yod is the same. So shell is the word, that's our root, okay? And in order to make it belonging to me or I, right? My cup, my dog, I have to change it to Shelly. Does that make sense?
So the heric yod makes it possessive?
It makes it change it to my, correct.
Okay.
Okay. Ray, are you following me on that one or not?
Yeah, I think so. They have to be the same, right? So if it was instead of, let's say it was ana, then that would be shala.
Yes, that's the thing that sucks with Hebrew is
Okay.
everything has to match. I don't know how it is in other like Spanish or other languages, but I know some languages not every single word has to match. But unfortunately in Hebrew, everything has to match.
Oh,
So
so there's nothing uniquely possessive about the heric yod. You're just matching the ani?
yes, you have correct. So I'm
Oh, okay.
matching it.
Yeah.
I'm just matching it to the correct pronoun. So if I'm saying, the cup belonging, my cup, ani is the singular. I can own it or I own it, right? So I'm matching it. Okay. Now let's go to anaknu because that's another one. Okay. That's easier for me to explain. Okay, let's see if I can do this and if it'll work. Highlight. Okay. Do you see right here the very ending? Right? The ending in red is the new. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay. So we know that anaknu means what?
We.
We, exactly. We, or we could say are, but it's all of us together, right? So we know that shall, do you see the first two letters are the same no matter what, going all the way down? Do you see
Yeah.
that? How its shell is the same? The shin and the lamed is the same all the way down and up? Do you guys see that? How it down the list, it's always the same? Or not really? I'll show you. Watch. Shin. Shin. It's too thin. That's too close, too light of a color. Sorry. Shin. Right here. It's not going to highlight. Shin. Now do you see it, right? Shin. This
Yeah.
sucker's not helping me today. If I have to keep doing this every single time, I'm going to get really mad. It's there. But you see what I mean? The
Yeah.
shin's the same way going down the whole entire way. Because this is our what? What is this word? The shell up here is called what? When we get down to the very basic part of the word, it's called what? It's called a shorish or the root, right? Right? No? You guys don't remember shorish?
No,
Or the root?
I
Okay.
know root, but not
Okay.
shorish.
Okay. The shorish is just the Hebrew word for root. Okay.
Mm.
So write this down on your paper somewhere, okay? A root word is usually 3 letters, okay? And in our book, we will see that the root words are 3 letters. Mostly. There's some exceptions, and shall is one of those. There's a few that are 2 and a few that are 4. And shall is one of those. I wish I could write on this. Sorry, guys. It's not letting me type. Or there we go. Maybe, can I type? Nope, it's not going to let me type. I'm just having the hardest time with Adobe. I apologize. But shall is one of those 2-letter roots. So that's why I'm telling you that when you have the root, when you have the word down here and you need to conjugate, do you notice how we just put the root all the way down? Do you guys see that? How the root goes all the way down under all of them?
Yes. The
Okay.
root is always shall.
Yes. And so the root never changes. It goes all the way down the page. But what changes after we have the root, not looking at the vowels, don't worry about the vowels, but what changes at the end?
The suffix.
Yes, the suffix, exactly. So, trying to see if I can find a different color, if this is even going to work. Okay, so if we're talking about, okay, anaknu, which means we, or our, and we want to say our dog, like maybe we all own the dog, okay? So we want to say the dog of all of us, okay? We are going to say shall, and we're going to add the new ending. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Don, you following us okay?
Good.
Okay,
So-
Ken, yes. Is this like French or is this a little different?
So you would pronounce that shalanu?
That'll be shalanu, and that's where we're going to talk about in a second now, is how the pronunciation changes just a teeny bit because of the way the vowels are. But it's basically shall and then new. But yes, it's going to be shall, la, new, because remember, in the very beginning, I told you that every single time you have a vowel, that is its own what? Syllable, right? Every vowel has its own syllable, correct?
Yep.
Good.
Okay. Okay, so let's start again. So if we have ani, okay, we know that shall has to end how?
With the same.
Yes, it has. Great, John. It has to have the heric yod at the end. Okay, now that works for everything except for there's a couple exceptions here. Do you see these exceptions over here? Sorry, why does that keep doing that? So this exception right here and this exception right here. When we have the word ata, which is the you for the man, right? And at, which is the you for the women. Unfortunately, it would be too confusing in Hebrew because of other words to end it with the tav. So we have to change the ending. This last letter changes to what is this last letter here, guys? You see it right here. What is this last letter here?
Is it a final cough?
Yes, a final cough. So the only difference instead of the ta is a final cough. It's a weird rule. It'll make sense later, but right now you just have to know that anytime we're talking about ani is I, you, he, she, we, and then when we get to the you all, right? You all men, you all women, it's the same thing. The tav becomes a final cough again, okay? So that's the one thing that you have to remember, okay? But the endings are still the same. Do you see? So let's look underneath the woman. The woman is at, right? What's underneath the tav right here? What's underneath the tav? What do you see for the vowel?
Shava.
Yes, exactly. So when we end it with the cough, what's the vowel that we keep?
Shava.
Yeah, exactly. So do you see how we're kind of, except for these, we have to change it to cough. We're transplanting what? The last what? Are we transplanting over on the word?
Syllable.
Yeah, like that last syllable, that last ending. So there is a couple different, there is one more that's different too that's not fun, and that's what we call the natural feminine ending. Okay? So the natural, so we have, right, I, you, and we have he and she. So when we end a word with kamat, hey, that usually means she. Okay? It means lady. It's some kind of a female ending. Okay? And so when we do that, this he is kamat's hey. And you will love that later because that means later we don't have to conjugate as many words because we're always using the lady ending. And that will help you in the future. So I know it's a little confusing now. But do you understand how that, you see that natural, how it, that one's a little bit different too? You just have to know this is a lady. And so we put the lady ending. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Now, this one is kind of interesting because except for the changing it to the kaf, see, it's still, we change the tav to a kaf, and then we add the segol and the final mem. We just take the ending off of the word and we put it over here. We take the ending off of this word and we put it over here. And the same thing with hen and hen. We just actually transplant it and move it over. Do you see those direct transplants now?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the irregulars that are kind of hard to remember.
Yes. So Les, so this is the thing. This is why I memorize it as I, you, he, she. Okay. We, you all, you know, but they, I don't know how to do hem and hen, you know, they, male, they, female, right? So I just remember that it's the you use, you know, you all men or you singular men that has to change. You singular woman. I had to memorize it that way. You'll have to figure out the best way to memorize it, but there's three that are different. The one that is totally different, which is the woman one, right? Which later on will totally make sense to you. And then this one exception or irregular one, but it's used 4 times. So it's a little bit easier that it's not like you're memorizing one exception like this. You're memorizing one and you're using it 4 different times, right? Everyone following me on that one? Yeah? Okay. Ray said okay. Luis, are you following me on that one?
Yeah, I'm a little lost, but that's okay. I mean, I sort of get the concept, but
Okay, that's all I need you to do. That's what I'm making sure. Do you have the concept? Because remember, we're going to do this again. So this is just concepts today so that when we go through it again next time, it'll make more sense, okay?
yeah, I mean, all I'm saying is I'm not going to remember the variants, you know, the irregular conjugations, but that's okay.
But you're going to have this, I'm going to give you this sheet,
Okay.
and it's going to be written right here. In fact, you're going to get this scan that you see here, you're
Okay.
going to get that scan.
Okay. And this is the possessive, right? Sort of, kind of, maybe, no?
Okay. As I was telling someone else in my class, yes, in a way it's possessive. I, you, ours, theirs, them. But you kind of have to be a little bit careful.
It's broader than that. It could be pertaining to, right?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. There's a little
The
bit more.
the field of dreams.
Yes, because the problem is with us, remember, sometimes in Hebrew, we need to throw in a pronoun, you know what I mean, to make it work. So we just have to be careful that that we're reading the whole context of the sentence first. Do you know what
Right.
I'm saying? And
Yes.
that's why I think Hebrew is a little bit challenging, where some people think it's not. So, okay, I'm going to give you these sheets, but I want you to see what I did here. And I'm sorry my handwriting isn't that great. But this is what I'm trying to show you. Hirik yod is the ending. So here was our pronoun. And Luis, this is when we start, you asked about dropping. This is when we start to drop some of our Hebrew vowels because you get tired of writing it and it doesn't really matter. So we have ani. What do you really need to know? You need to know Hirik yod is the ending. That is the suffix.
Oh.
For ata, you need to know that final kaf, kamatz, is the ending. Those are the two things you need to know. The rest of the vowels in ani or ata don't even matter. Okay? At, you need to know its final kaf and a shiva. Now, the one we didn't talk about much was who. Who, remember, means he. And if you notice, we have a vav and a sharuk. And the only thing that happens is at the very end, we push that dot into a hole in vav. So for instance, if we were asking you your name in Hebrew, the name is Shem, right? Shem is the Hebrew word for name. But if I want to know what is his name, I am going to change it to, can anyone guess what it's going to be? Come right here.
Show.
Shemo. Yeah, we're going to
Wow.
have the O, Shemo. Because Shem is the word for name, but we have Shemo because we're changing it to his name. Okay?
So
Now,
are you listing on the left-hand side what you transpose when you conjugate the possessive or the of? Is that what
okay,
you're
so don't worry, there's no of here. There's no of here. Shall I used was just as an example because it's an easy word to look at. And because the thing that you need to know, unfortunately, which stinks in Hebrew, is that you can also, which is why I have this sheet. The pronouns are here. You can actually have to conjugate. You see this right here? You can actually conjugate prepositions in Hebrew. And you have to, which is no fun. So when I did shall, that was me conjugating a preposition using a word preposition as a conjugation. So it was just a good little word to use. So don't get of hooked in your head. That was just one example of one word. Okay, treat it as a word rather than a preposition. Does that make sense, or did I lose you again?
no, I'm trying to. So you're doing conjugations, is that, I mean, or pronouns?
Okay, this is the thing. When you conjugate your nouns, your well, your nouns, let's just say nouns for right now, and your prepositions need to match your pronoun. Okay? Everything needs to match in your sentence. So let me see if I can find a sentence. Okay, so when we say, ani, let's see, me, atem. Okay. Okay, so if we say me, atem, okay, we are saying, what's atem right here? So we are saying I, right? I, you, he, she, we. Atem is what? The male what?
They.
Okay, they. So we are saying, who are they, right? If we say me, atem, we're saying, who are they, right?
I see them.
Okay, great. So now, if they are something, like if they are kings, okay, we we are going to say that they are malachem. Do you get what I'm saying? Malachem. We're going to have that ending match because everything has to match. Right? Does that make sense now? A little bit, the concept?
Yeah. I have a quick question.
Sure.
Does that have to match in a sentence?
It has to match in a sentence and it has to match in a phrase.
So every word has to match.
Almost every word has. There's a little bit. Remember how there's some words that are neutrals?
Right.
I apologize, guys. I had to take a bite of food. I haven't eaten all day. There are some neutrals, and just like in English, you could have part of a sentence, and then sometimes you can have like a comma, and then the other sentence can switch to something else. But technically, yes, you should be able to go through the sentence, and you should see a ton if it's a tem, if it's about the male one, you should see these chems at the end. Everything should match.
So you're pointing out patterns and conjugations. Is that what it like? A tem would have the final mem, and it would have the segol, and so if you're saying like you are kings atem malachim, like is that like
Yes.
you're pointing out the pattern in
Yes.
how it's conjugated? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So you're pointing out that the nouns always match to some extent the pronoun in with some variance, right? With some irregular conjugations. The noun is always going to match the pronoun, and it's going to vary a little bit, but atem, well, you have malachim, so it would match the final mem and the segol, or some kind of eggs in a basket of some sort. I don't know.
That is what I'm saying. Exactly. It's going to match. So let me show you. Okay. Now listen, one of the problems is we've been dealing with such small noun sentences lately. Okay. So it's kind of hard to see it, but here we have a 10 and a 10. Okay. So when we have our word and we're saying atem, and this is the terrible one because fathers is an odd word. Let's see, atem, Sarah, Moshe. Let's see, I'm trying to find. Oh, here we go. Okay, you are the fathers and the daughters. Well, no, that doesn't even work either. Atem ha'avot, because it's odd. Let me give you a word. Oh my
Okay,
God.
but there will be some odd ones because I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking about, for example, you are the father of Abraham.
Yes, because remember the thing that stinks about that one. Oh, here we go. Finally, I found some words. Okay. There will be odd ones because remember, a vote uses the female plural ending.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, like, here's an example right here on page. It's right up here, but it's on page. I think it's 27. Okay, and it's in one of our exercises. And here's a perfect example. Atem malakim. Do you see the ending? It has to be a plural ending, okay? And it has to be they, right? So we have to make sure that things match. It could be atam melech, which would be you, king, one, right? But atem is plural, right? It's a little bit different that it isn't totally the tem because that's also a plural ending, okay? So that's what I'm saying. We haven't gotten to chapter 5 or 6 right now with the plurals. Because I don't know if I'm teaching, I'm trying to figure out a better way to teach this to you. But one of the weakness of this book is that it doesn't have really good sentences. And so it teaches the concepts you need, but it doesn't necessarily teach the sentences that well. So I'm trying to figure out hem, ha, ba, kim. but it has to, but these exercises are showing you here, it has to match. Oh, here's another one right here. Let me show you the difference. Okay. Sorry, guys, this is challenging. And then, but I just wanted you to understand some concepts. So, Ela, we know Ela is neutral, right? Hem is what? Male or female? Does anyone remember what hen means? If we go over here, hen is what? Or hem is what? We have the hem and the hen.
So
we
so
have,
hen is they male.
because we have we, right? You,
Yeah.
right?
They plural male.
And that's male, correct. So we know it's plural. So we have to, when we have ata, we know that's male. Hu, hamelech, that's single, right? Then we have ata, hu, ha'av. Oh, I moved it. It was up here. Ela. Sorry, guys. Ela, hem, hadavarim. Hadavarim. Sorry, va. It is plural ending because if there's words for plural people, there's plural endings. Okay.
But I mean, doesn't that say these, they are the words?
It says these. Ela's neutral.
Yeah.
And then
They,
you have the hem, that's that pronoun that you have to show who you're talking about.
yeah, these, they are the words.
Right.
These are them words.
Right. But
Yeah.
now, say if we wanted to add gadol, these are the big words, okay? What would it have to match? Would it match the plural reem ending or would it match the hem ending? If we're saying these are the big words. Anybody have a guess? Do we follow the direct object or the direct the noun, or do we follow the what do we follow? Do we know?
Follow the noun.
Right. We follow the noun. Right. Let me not get you too much in the weeds for this. What I want you to know is this concept. This is really all I wanted you to know. Is that when we conjugate, we have a line of pronouns, okay? And when we determine what goes on the end of a word, it's just this ending, okay? Can everyone say that makes sense to them or they understand that part?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Even if you don't memorize this right or you don't know it right now, you know that if you have a word, you're probably going to have to put an ending on it, correct?
Good.
Okay. That's all. That was the big part. That is the big lesson of chapter 4. Honestly, that's what chapter 4 is trying to get you to say. The problem is chapter 4 is trying to get you to learn that, but they're giving you all these baby noun sentences that don't show you enough words to make that work, okay? Which is why you're having a trouble visualizing it because you don't see it now. Does that make sense? Or
Yeah, I
okay.
wish I was that far along to understand what I don't understand. Because I read chapter 4, but I didn't pick up on.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're missing it because sometimes the way they explain it, they're explaining it in a totally different way, and they're assuming that you're just gonna get it. Okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is that I have never seen in any other language a conjugation where, I mean, other than saying, so the only the only parallel, it's like when you say in page 26, these are the words ele,
Right.
hem, hadavarim, right? I mean, the only comparable conjugation in some other language I can think of is that them's fighting words. You know? because with them being him, I just
Okay.
I mean, I'm trying to understand the extra pronoun. I don't know. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me because I don't have a parallel to try to draw to. Does that make
And the
sense?
problem is I haven't shown you enough yet to be able to really understand it. They just tell you that it is this way. They don't tell you why it is this way. So that's why you don't understand. They're just saying, trust me, it is this way. And if you go farther in the book, you'll eventually learn why it is this way. Okay. So
Yeah.
if you're lost, it's because that's the way they do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Now, really quick, chapter 5. What do we need to know about chapter 5? Okay. What we really need to know about chapter 5 is that I told you, remember right here, I told you that there's line conjugation, right? Where you go down in the line. And in chapter 5, we're going to learn that when you, here at the bottom of page 31 in your book, when you talk about adjectives, and this is also going to be the same way when we get to verbs, like past tense verbs. When we talk about those kinds of things, we learn how to conjugate and we will learn what's called the box form. And this is essentially the box form down here at the bottom of page 31, except for what they did was they just made it in a list. So when we have an adjective like tov, right? Male singular, you're going to love male singular because male singular is the shorish of the word. If I asked you what the shorish or what the root was of tov, can someone tell me what 3 letters it would be?
Tove.
Yeah, it would be tet, vav, vet, right? Tov. That is the shorish. So the male singular is going to be your starting point. So we have tov, which is male singular. You don't make any changes to it. That you're going to love that one. But now look at the female singular. So the reason why I say this is because I don't know that I can try to see if I can do it here a little bit. Let me see if I can do something here. If you can imagine I'm building a box, okay? And it's this thing just is, okay, like this. Why does this do this? Come on. I don't know. But you guys know what a box look, right? If I make a T in here, I make a 4 square, like anybody play 4 square, right? So you put a box in here. Male singular would be on the top here, okay? What would be on the bottom? If male singular is on the top, what would you expect to be under male singular?
Female?
Well, the female would go on this side, but male singular would be here, and then what would be on the bottom?
Plural.
Yeah. So the male plural here would be what? It says right here on the page.
Tovim.
Tovim, right. So we have tov, which is the normal shorish. Underneath we have tovim. Now we go to this side of the box. If there was 2 squares here, we would have what on the other side?
Female.
The female, right, Don, exactly. And remember I told you there's this thing called the natural, and now it works, figures. The thing called the natural female ending, which is the kamatz hey. That is where we start here. That would be over here. This thing drives me nuts. That would be this part of the box right here. And then underneath it would be female what?
Plural.
Female plural.
Right. So we only, when we're talking about adjective words, we're talking about male singular, female singular, male plural, and female plural. And so every time you have one of those, the good news is you only have 4 choices. Now, when we get to verbs, you're going to love past tense verbs because guess what? The endings are exactly what?
The same.
They're going to be very exactly the same with a few exceptions. So that's why I really want you to know that there's two ways to look at these words. Either the line version, where you put all your pronouns down, or I want you to think of it as the box version, and that's only 4. Okay? So we're going to divide these things into nouns and certain words, and then adjectives, and I forgot the name of the parts of speech. Sorry.
Prepositions.
Yeah, I can't remember. So anyway, so that's what I want you to know here. So for instance, we have Melech Tov, right? A good king, that's male singular. Eretz Tova is now who? Who are we talking about?
The land.
Right, but is the land, what is the land?
Female.
It's female. So,
Yeah.
because what word tells you, what word says, hey, everything in this sentence needs to be female? What word lets you know that?
Eretz.
Yes. One of the things when we get past the chapters that we're in pretty soon in this book, it's going to give us every word, and it's going to tell us, is the word male or is the word female? Is the noun male or is the noun female? That noun, do you see how that noun controls what happens to every other word in the sentence?
Yeah.
Okay. So the noun can, that's why I said it's kind of confusing, but the noun can stay exactly the same, but all the endings of all the other words are going to end in ah, right? Kamatza. Male plural, malakim, right? Because now it's a plural. So now we need to say these are singulars. So kim, we need to tell them how many, okay? And what type of how many? Is it a man many or is it a female many? So if we have malakim, is it a man many or is it a female many?
Male.
Yeah. So if we're talking about good, the word good, we have to go back to what word again?
It's a
Kings.
noun. King.
Yes, yes, the king, the nouns. And you see, this is what I was trying to show you. Look at the end of good and look at the end of kings. What do you notice?
They're the same.
Yeah, Hirik, Yod, Mem. They're the same. So I'm telling you, the one thing is when you get to some longer sentences, and that is why, Donald, when we have some of our prayers in our Siddur, it's like Dr. Seuss wrote them, you know, like Yikadav, Yikada Shemei Rabat, like it's Abba or Im or Im or Im or Kem, Vayakon, Omekon, Yomekon. They're all cones, because we have to make sure that all the endings match. Does that make sense? Right.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's what chapter 5 is trying to tell you. Chapter 5 is trying to tell you that these forms, you don't have to conjugate them according to the line of pronouns right here. However, they have 4 forms. And that form has to match the noun. Does that make sense?
10.
Is that more clear then, guys? At least in the concept.
Yep.
Okay, so if we can try to race through one more, because these are the building blocks of the stuff that's coming next.
Yeah, I guess, the only way it differs from English for the pronouns is that the plural pronouns in English don't have genders, right? Like in English, they can be male, they can be female. In
Right.
Hebrew, they have male and female. In Spanish, it's the same.
Mhm.
They have male and female, and the conjugation of the like what you mentioned in paragraph 5, the adjectives, it's the same conjugation as in Spanish. It's just that extra pronoun is really wacky.
It
But
is.
maybe it'll come up again at some point. I
Okay.
just never seen that in any language.
Yeah, it will come up. Okay. Chapter 6. What you need to know out of chapter 6 is really page 43. Okay. 43. Let's take a quick look at 43. Just see the dark pages, right? Do you see the highlighted part? E, ka, ha. Where did we see this before? E, ka, ha. Do you see the difference? Do you see the Oh, what did I do? There you go. Do you see? It looks familiar, doesn't it? So if I were to say Donald's house, knowing that he's a guy, I'm saying, so I'm talking with someone and I'm referring to Donald and I'm saying Donald's house, it's gonna be Beto. Where if you guys are talking amongst yourself and say, oh, Madison's house, it's gonna be what?
Beta.
Yeah, Beta. And that is exactly what we're doing on that sheet. Except for instead of the book breaks it up into small chunks. Because this is all what? What are all these? This is what side of the chart? It says right up here on the very top.
Possessives.
These are all the possessive endings, but these are the singular nouns, right? So all it did was take this chart and say, listen, I'm going to teach you to hear first. Do you see what it did? It's saying, I'm going to teach you this first, okay? The singulars. The next chapter teaches you the same thing but plural. So this book broke it up into 2 chapters. Okay, so this is what chapter 6 is about. Oops, sorry. Okay, the one thing that chapter 6 does, is it, I thought there's one more list. Yeah, there we go. The next thing that well, let me do this one first. Okay. Chapter 6, the one important thing it does is it shows you, remember I just told you we were talking about the shorish or the base form. So do you see how I ask you what is the word bot? You know it's what now? We learned
Daughter.
what? Yep. Okay, so we have daughter. Okay, however, did you see underneath it? What do we see underneath it? It says it's called its what? What
New
does it
form.
say?
It's a new form.
It says it's its base form. But Donald, in
Oh,
Hebrew, what does base form mean to us? What's the base form? The
it's
one that
original. The original.
Yeah, it's the shorish. It's the root word, the stuff we were talking about. They call it a base form here. Remember I told you that a shorish is sometimes 2, normally 3, and very rarely ever 4. So here's an example. The base form of daughter is bet tav. Okay? The base form of davar, which means words, is dalit, vet, resh. And they even give us an example of a 4-letter base form. Torah is tet, vav, resh, tet. Okay? So do you see how now you can see that there's 2 letters, 3 letters, and 4-letter base forms? Does that make sense?
10.
Okay. Ray and Luis, did I lose you or are you there too?
No, I'm here. I'm sorry.
Okay, good. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So it's trying to put the concepts that it told you earlier in a chart now where you can actually see them, okay? The problem is that we haven't done this yet, okay? When you get to possessive endings, we have a new way of doing this. And we haven't learned it. I'm not going to mess you up with it today. But that is why I'm going to give you this sheet, because you will learn form 1, form 2 is possessive, and then you'll learn these 2 model cases. So I'm just showing you that they're now putting the tracks in place for you for the singular nouns. Then we get to chapter 7 and they do everything exactly the same. But what do you think the difference is up here that they're going to change? Instead of singular, it's going to be what?
Plural.
Plural. Okay, but we're still going to have the word, the blessing, bracha. We're still going to have that word. We're still going to have the blessing. But then we're going to learn, hey, birchati is my blessing. Birchataha is your blessing. Birchatech is your blessing female. Birchato is his blessing. Birchata is her blessing. right?
Can
Does
we,
that
Yep.
make sense?
you go over those again?
I sure will. And we'll be doing this next week too, or next time we meet.
Okay.
And then that is, Luis, I think you asked me, or Ray, you asked me about how the pronunciation changes. Next week when we go over it, you will see how the pronunciation changes. So blessing is baracha, right? Or baracha. It's birchat is the base form. That means everything changes at the end of that, right?
Yes.
Birkati is my blessing. Birkat ka is your blessing. Birkat ka. Birkat tek. Birkatek. I'm trying to pronounce this specifically, so sorry. Birkato. Birkata. Now, does anybody see what's this one, this natural female one? What's the dot doing in that hey at the end? What does that mean? Does anyone remember if there's a dot at the hey in the end?
Pronounce it.
Exactly. Can you really tell I'm saying the hey though?
No.
No, not really. Ray, what's your question? I feel like you have something there.
No, no question.
No?
I'm trying to figure it out.
Okay, the good news is, Louise and Ray and Don, is that we're going to go over this again. Okay?
Yeah.
So you're going to be like, oh, I don't really remember this today. But the second time you'll go, oh, Madison, is that when we did this? Okay? And then when we go over it the third time, it'll be even easier. Okay. Now, we're a little bit over, so I don't know if I can take one more minute, a couple more minutes. Do you guys have a few more minutes? Like 5 more?
5. That's a lot.
Okay, all right.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Only because I just want to show you chapter 7. Okay? It is looks familiar, doesn't it?
Ken.
The only difference, this is the chart right here that we had for the singular ones, right?
Ken.
But on the left, on the left side, I don't even know my left anymore. On the left side, here is my plurals. And to show you again, I can't get it all on. I need to make it smaller. Okay? If you go here and you made a list, this is the same list. This is exactly the same as this. It's just written in a form that's easier for you to use. Okay? This is the list. Okay? And these are exactly, we're just doing the same thing with our house, multiple men, your house, maybe a dorm room of guys lives in a house. And so we're saying, hey, let's go back to your house. And so we'd say, Beitachem. Maybe it's the rabbi's training house, Betachem, right? Because it's all males. If we were in a female dorm and we'd say, let's go to your house, it'd be Betachen. Okay? But if we had a big house and we're saying our worship house, then it would be Beta what? What would the ending there? Beta
Nope.
new. Beta new, right? Our house. Okay. Let me see. There's one more thing I was hoping to show you. So again, it's doing the same thing. It's giving you the word. You know the word ahava. We learned that vocabulary early. You know that's love. But now it's telling you, you need to know that the base form is ahavat. And that's one of those weird ones where, it's a little bit longer. The base form is a little bit longer. Okay. Now, if you guys can go to the back of your book really quick, okay? Just go to the very end where the glossary is. So if you go to the glossary and you look under Aleph, okay? Let me see if I can find the first one. Okay. Down the page, under Aleph, you will see the word say. And it will show you Aleph, period, Mem, period, Resh, period. Okay? What do you think that's trying to tell me?
Where are you reading from? Glossary?
The glossary, page 308.
Huh?
The first column, like in the English way we read, the first column under Aleph. If
Yeah.
you look down on the left side, you will see the word say almost, most of the way down from the page. If you
Yeah.
go from say over, you will see Aleph dot mem dot resh.
Okay.
What does it sound like I'm saying to you? Or what do you think that might be? Because it's saying in Hebrew, that means say. So what might that be? Donald knows it in Hebrew.
Huh.
Been saying it all night. Okay. That is your shorish. That is your root. That is your base. Aleph, mem, resh. Amar. The word is amar if you were to see the word. In fact, if you go up top a little bit farther, saying is omer. Okay, so you see it there. But here, Aleph dot mem dot resh. That is your base word. That's your root. And that's going to be, it's going to help you figure out what we add stuff to. Okay? So I wanted to show you that in the back of the book. It's going to, now this book, as we get farther, is going to start to show you every word as a shorish and Ray to answer your question. That is when they start to drop the vowels. Okay?
Yeah.
Because who cares at that point? Because you already know enough to know that that's the root, and we're going to add stuff to it, and you know what it is. So who cares about the vowels? That's where they start to drop them, and that's coming soon. Okay, so again, lesson 4, what I needed you to get out of it is the fact that there are these pronouns, and you will make a list of these pronouns, and that's going to be how we determine the endings for almost every single noun, right? That's lesson 4. Lesson 5, the simple thing that you need to learn from lesson 5 is that what? That adjectives, they have to match. They have to match the noun, but you only have to make them match there's only 4 choices. There's male singular, female singular, male plural, and female plural. There's only 4. This is the box conjugation, whereas this is the line. Okay, so that was chapter 5. Chapter 6, the main concept that they're trying to tell you is that you will have, sorry guys, you will have a base word or a shorish or a root word, and that you will change the endings to figure out what you're trying to say. Are you trying to say my daughter, your daughter, his daughter, our daughter, right? Not in chapter 5, but in chapter 6, our daughter. So this is showing you how you're changing your forms, okay? And then chapter 7 finishes up with just more possessive ending. So what do you do if it's a plural ending? It's just a little bit different, okay? So did that give you a little bit of an overview again of what the important concepts out of the chapter were? Yeah? Okay. Okay. That being said, does anybody have an important question, or I'm going to stop sharing quick and then stop recording?
What is that purple head? It's coming out of your head. It's your shirt.
Oh, yeah, it's my sweater. Sorry, guys. Because I have a background. My sweater keeps coming out of my head. Okay, so let me stop recording.